Hi, welcome, and I hope you're doing well. In this video here, I'll be cleaning off the old thermal paste on the heatsink and apply with the new thermal paste here. I'll tell you the reason what is happening on the computer. The computer goes on the computer fan goes on a rapid or high speed. The reason of that, I think, is that when the CPU and the graphics card get too hot, and the fan thinks like, hey, the computer is too hot, I need to work harder, so it spins a lot faster. Therefore, I can hear the fan constantly going on a high speed. So sometimes it can be quite annoying while you're doing something or playing a game, and you can hear this fan going on a high speed. So that is the whole reason why I'll be making this video for, is to clean off the old thermal paste and apply with the new one. And at the same time, I'll dust out the fan, clean the fan off, and hopefully that would reduce the fan speed on this computer. So here, let me show it to you how it looks like. This is the keyboard, and that's the top of the computer. So if you have this Razer gaming laptop like mine, and if you feel like your computer is running really hot and you want to clean it off and apply new thermal paste, hopefully reduce the temperature, this is the video you want to watch. And before you do that, please click the like button and subscribe if you haven't, so that I'll make more of these sort of videos for you in the near future. Alright, so I'll be using a T5 screwdriver. Let's go ahead and remove the screws. We need to remove the back cover first. So okay, we picked that up. The screw just fell into that hole right there. So once you remove the screw, you can easily pop the back cover open, and here you want to come and clean off the dust. You can see that it's quite dusty if I tilt at a certain angle, right? If you see it like this, it looks clean, but if you tilt it, you can see how gross that is. I have seen worse, so that is alright. This is not too bad actually. Let me remove that screw. Alright, so you can see that this is your fan, and at this point here, it looks like the fan spins pretty much okay. I don't see the fan have any ball bearing issue or scraping the blades, but I do see corrosion starting to build on the heatsink. So let's see. Yeah, I would explain to apply new thermal paste, but I might consider changing out the whole heatsink if I can find a replacement. But before we do that, let's go ahead and disconnect the battery. So this is the cable here. You can actually just slide the battery to your right. That's how you can disconnect the battery. Okay, just slide it to your right. Now let's go ahead and work on the CPU fan. So this is a Phillips screw. And for those of you who wants to upgrade the M.2, you can see this is your M.2 drive. You can remove this M.2 and upgrade to a larger one. You need to peel this little piece of rubber, like a tape, that's covering up the screw. So peel it off, and we can get to the screw after. The screw doesn't come out, you can just loosen up the screw. This is some sort of like a safety screw. It doesn't come off, it stays as is next to the heatsink. You just gotta unscrew it. And this is your RAM. You have 2 slots. It looks like they installed it 2 RAM for you. And if you want to increase the RAM, I believe you can do so. Right now it's running 8 and 8. You may upgrade to 32, meaning 16 and 16. And these RAMs are DDR4. And if you look carefully on the fan, this is the connector here. I try to show it to you. It's underneath, it's really small, tiny little connector on this one here. So you need to slide it down to your body. So slide it towards yourself. But first I need to remove this this cable here. This is your webcam, the microphone and the webcam on the screen. So slide it to your left. And then that's how you disconnect that. Now you have a lot more room to work with. Okay, and I'm just gonna slide this connector down to my body, and that's how you remove the fan. And I'll come and dust it off and use the pressure can duster to just kind of dust off the clean off the dust. Okay, so once you have that removed, see if I can gently and move the heatsink. It looks like the heatsink is glued on pretty tight. Okay, so this is your LCD connector. What I did was I just lift it up. They are like Lego, it snap onto, and to remove it, just lift it up, and that's how you remove. These are all your Wi-Fi cable. Just put them on the side, and that's how you can slide the connector down to disconnect the CPU fan. Now I believe my heatsink should be free to go, unless it is still somewhat attached to something. What I'm doing is I'm very gently put a tiny bit of a pressure, push the motherboard down, the same time I lift the heatsink up, so you have this going up and the motherboard going down 2 ways to separate the heatsink. And I'll tell you why it's holding it down. Okay, sorry, there's one more screw right here on the very far left that is holding down the heatsink. I'll tell you why something is holding it down, the heatsink, because of the thermal paste. So the thermal paste acts like a seal, like a vacuum seal. Every time when you separate them apart, it just kind of glue on together. So that's one way to separate them. Now this is what we call the thermal pad. You can see that the thermal pad is pretty in a bad shape, so we need to clean it off. And then do I have thermal pad? I might have it somewhere. I need to find it, and then clean off the thermal paste and then apply with the new one. Alright, so let's put that on the side here. I need to make sure I have thermal pads before I start to remove the original ones. So this is alcohol wipes, nothing really special, just the wipes. And you can see that how original amount, how generous amount of thermal paste was applied, and then that's how original the manufacturer applied the thermal paste. So for those of you who say, oh, you overkill with the thermal paste, you apply way too much, you just need like a tiny little drop, the answer is no, don't do that. You need to have a good amount of thermal paste to cover up the CPU, not just a tiny little drop. Let me check with my thermal pad first. Okay, I do have the new thermal pad. So this is what it is. It's somewhat not brand new. I just remove it from. Anyway, it's still new thermal pad. I'll apply it with the. I'll replace with the old one. How thick you're gonna see? You can compare. They are a lot thicker, right? So what you can do is you can apply twice the amount. I would buy the 1.5 milliliter thickness of the thermal pad, or you can buy the 1 millimeter thermal pad. And if you feel like it's too thin, and you can just apply with 2 layers rather than buying the thicker one, and then you end up being what they call too thick. But the thermal pad doesn't really matter, because when you screw in the heatsink, that way you would push the extra thickness of the thermal pad aside, which is just fine. You want to have a good contact rather than no contact at all, right? So that's what it is. This is your graphics card and this is your CPU. So what I'll do is I'll reuse some of the thermal pad here, and I'll apply with the one that needs to be applied. So like here, it needs to be applied, and I will cut some of this. The length is about that much. So the cell in a what do you call it? The cell as in one big piece of it, and then you cut it to your size and shape that you want. So what I'll do is I'll fold it in half on the thermal pad, and I applied it right here. Okay. So when the heatsink screwed it in, it would press the thermal pad down. Is it too thick? I think so. I think that's a bit too thick. So let me cut that in half. All it does is you just want to have a good connection, good contact to the heatsink. That's the whole purpose of it. You don't really have to be so specific on the apply on the pad. You just need to be enough contact to the heatsink. Okay, so there you have it. Come on, stay there, because once it's go in, you would melt. Not melt, but you would be warm, snuggle, and you can have a good contact with that. So we need to have 2 of this. Let's go ahead and apply with that. Let's use this one. Okay, I'll save the rest of the thermal pad. Now the next step I like to do is to apply thermal paste, and I'll come back to clean the fan off later. And I don't think I need to make the video for the fan. Hold on a second. Okay, I'll be applying some thermal paste here. And I spread it around a little bit. Okay, I think that is a good amount of it, and I'll come back and clean some of this place. So what I need to do next is to dust the fan off, clean off the fan, and I can start installing the heatsink. So go ahead and install the heatsink back on. So the whole purpose of this is to apply a new thermal paste and press it down a little bit, and let's start to put the screw back in. I'm not going to show you how to clean the fan. I'm pretty sure it's very straightforward. Just kind of dust off the clean off the dust and go from there and put them all back together. And you see the way I put the screws, I do not screw all the way in. I just want to apply even pressure on all the screws and then come back here and tighten it up. So that I want the thermal paste to be spread evenly on both sides. And rather than just squeezing from right to left. Okay, so that is pretty tight, and pretty much I need to clean off the fan, and once the fan is clean, I'll put it back and install, and that should be it. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and hopefully you learned something of this video. If you have any question, just comment below, and again, if I can ask a small favor, please click the like. Do not forget to do that, and subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your repair. Until next time, take care now.